What is the Parthian shot? The Parthian shot was a cavalry tactic involving a feigned retreat. Mounted archers would pretend to flee the battlefield, tricking the enemy into pursuing them. At just the right moment, the rider would twist his body while galloping away and shoot arrows back at the enemy, with high accuracy and often deadly results. Who used this technique? The Parthians, Arsacids. They were the most famous practitioners of this tactic. The Parthian army consisted of light cavalry archers using composite bows, and heavily armored cavalry known as cataphracts. The Scythians and Dahi, Iranian nomadic tribes who used similar tactics in warfare even before the Parthians. The Sasanians, though known more for their heavily armored cavalry and hand-to-hand combat, the Sasanians inherited parts of this cavalry strategy from their Parthian predecessors. A famous historical example. At the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BCE, the Roman army led by Crassus suffered a major defeat at the hands of Parthian horse archers. Using the feigned retreat and the Parthian shot, the Parthians deceived and dismantled the Roman forces. Key characteristics of these horse archers: exceptional skill in horseback riding and shooting simultaneously. Compact but powerful composite bows. High mobility and guerrilla-style tactics. Use of speed and maneuverability to control the battlefield, not just brute force. 1. Lightly armed horsemen, mounted archers. Most Parthian shooters were lightly armed cavalry. They wore no armor or only very light armor to maximize speed and agility. Their role was to strike quickly and retreat, not to engage in prolonged direct combat. 2. Mobility took priority over protection. Heavy armor at the time, especially metal armor, slowed down cavalry. Performing the Parthian shot, shooting while retreating and twisting the body, required maximum freedom of movement. 3. Who were the heavily armored troops? The Parthian army had two main types of cavalry. Light horse archers, like the ones described above, without armor or with light armor. Cataphracts, heavily armored cavalry with full body armor for both rider and horse, specialized in direct melee combat. Iranian armored cavalry versus European knights. Iranian mounted heavy cavalry, like the Parthian cataphracts and Sasanian armored horsemen, shared many similarities with European knights, especially in terms of similarities. 1. Full-body metal armor for both rider and horse. 2. Conical helmets, often with chainmail underneath. 3. Frontal assault tactics using lances or swords. 4. Heavily built, armored horses for protection against arrows and blows. Differences. One of the main differences was in their style of warfare. Iranian cavalry often combined archery with lance attacks and tactical maneuvering, using speed and strategy as well as brute force. In contrast, European knights mostly relied on close combat with lances and swords. Another difference was geographic and historical. Iranian armored cavalry were active across Iran, the Middle East, and parts of Western Asia, from the Achaemenid to the Sasanian period. European knights, on the other hand, were a product of medieval Europe, especially from the 9th to the 15th century. Historical note. Some historians believe European knights were inspired by Iranian armored cavalry, especially through exposure to Eastern military traditions during the Byzantine era and the Crusades.